All right. I am so excited to get to our second talk of the night. Our second speaker is Kristina with a K. And Kristina bought a couch when she was 12 years old. She loves rollerblading, but she won't do it because it's not socially acceptable. And you can tell how old she is by the placement of one of her tattoos. Kristina, come on up and share your fuck up.
Oh, hi. So, yes, I actually already fucked up. And when they said share 3 facts, I actually thought it was 2 truths and a lie. So, we're going to play anyways. Raise your hands if you think number 1 is a lie. Ooh, I like this. Raise your hand if you think number 2 is a lie. Okay. Raise your hand if you think number 3 is a lie. There's a lot of smart people in this room. You're all gullible. They're all true. Every single one of them, which means you have a question right now. And the answer to that question is tramp stamp. I have a tramp stamp on my lower back. It's of a Celtic knot because I thought my father would approve of it as an Irishman if I got a Celtic knot. And how do we know how old I am? What does that make me? An elder millennial. You don't have a tramp stamp if you're not an elder millennial. Okay, so let's get into it. We don't have too much time. My name's Kristina Flynn. I was a painfully shy child. I didn't speak much, wasn't my jam, so being up on stage right now holding a microphone, that was not in the cards. If you wanted to speak to me, the one at the top there, this one right here, this was my handler, my older sister Natty. You went to her. You asked her the question, she would come to me, try to get a response. That was my life. Couple things to note here, very important. Yes, Donny Osmond is my uncle, right here, and my father was in fact the muse for Peter Griffin of Family Guy. Joking. This is Pops now. Redemption photo. He's a stunner. I feel like I need to put this in because it's being recorded. And he comments on all my shit. So back to me. So I'm 12. This is the dentist photo, the Polaroid that we all get. So 12 years old, I had a couple of gifts given to me. One was my first diagnosis of depression. And my second was my first ever psychiatrist, which was very fun. Over the years, 12 to 30s, got a number of different gifts. Other labels, OCD, panic attacks, anxiety, bulimia, gay. I mean, that's not a medical diagnosis. Very gay. That was one I gave to myself. I didn't know until my early 20s, though, despite looking like this fucking kid. This needs to be pointed out. Short sleeve, collared, button-down shirt. These were shorts, hands in my pocket. Who knows what the fuck is happening here? Very homosexual child. I was the only one who did not know I was gay. Back to me. So, 35. I get given this gift. Had my first child, my world blows up. My wife did not appreciate the fact that I said to her, kids ruined my life. And what I meant was that everything I had developed, all the systems that I had developed were fucked. Every single bit of them. It ruined it. And so, why is this important? This is important because it explains my career. 16 years, 11 jobs, 8 industries. I know what you're thinking, and yes, I am not popular with recruiters on LinkedIn. They don't come to my DMs. They don't try to recruit me to their shit. I'm not appealing. So what did that look like? A couple things. Started my career in the NBA, Had an internship with the Raptors. That was my very first job out of my post-grad in PR. Stayed with them for 6 years. This is fun. Okay, every time you see a screen like this, you're gonna yell, "Fuck up!" Okay? Should we try it? 1, 2, 3. Fuck up! So good. I'm actually gonna take a sip of water. Okay, so this was what we're gonna do. So the fuck up with this one in particular, despite working 60, 70, 80, 90-hour weeks, I signed a contract, my first ever contract with them, for $27,000 annual. Got paid incredibly well. When you get a 2 to 3% raise on that every year over 6 years, I was in poverty. And I was running events and ordering pizza and then taking the extra pizza and putting it in my fridge and freezer to live. So that was a fuck up. I was also the only out employee, not the only gay, because there were others, was the only out employee of 700 people. 700. I will say that one more time, 700 people. So I left. I worked for a philanthropist. They were building a $100 million, world's first ever inclusive sport and recreation center. It was gonna take over Moss Park. It was gonna be amazing, build everything up, inclusive space, physical, spiritual, emotional, everything. It was amazing. Yes! That worked out really well. You'll remember I have ADHD. This was a desk job, going through multiple levels, municipal, provincial, federal levels of government bullshit and bureaucracy, lots of red tape. Not my jam. On the side, years earlier, I'd seen all these problems working with the Raptors. I was doing community and player programming. I was working with a lot of people at the nonprofit level. I saw a lot of problems, so I was like, I'm gonna tinker, this is fun. I started building solutions and tech products, a lot of solutions for problems that nobody had, none. Wasted a fuck ton of money. This is to note, this was my best friend since we were 6 years old, also my high school sweetheart, so blame him. And we no longer speak at all, whatsoever. But we'll get back to that. Not a fuck up yet. So I'm like, okay, I wanna go all in on this tech thing, this product thing. I need to really get ingrained in this world. And a buddy of mine has a VC-funded tech startup in New York. Wifey, look at her, we're married a year. I'm like, I'm gonna leave you here, and I'm gonna go New York. And I'm gonna learn what it's like to work for a 3D scan, 3D print, custom milk guard company. And it's gonna be amazing. And so I went to New York. Wait. Yes. The fuck up here was that this was 2016, and 1 week after I moved to New York City, Donald J. Trump was elected president. So I'm walking down 43rd and Javits Center, I'm seeing this big fucking face of Donald Trump, and I'm like, you know what, it's fine. I'm gonna stay, I'm not gonna go back home. So my fuck up was that I did not run home. I stayed there a year. It was a disaster. And 1 year later, I came back to run my company full time. There's so many fuck ups here, but things were going quite well. We were doing data collection that was gonna help nonprofits actually learn about the people that they were serving, and we were gonna do it through gamification. We had some early partners, we were bootstrapping, had some good momentum. It was awesome. I'm going to San Francisco. I'm at fucking Stanford, I'm talking to all these people. Everything was awesome. Exactly. It was not awesome. I have so many fuck-ups to talk about with this one. This is my favorite, actually, which I didn't prep for. Don't ever name a company something that people can't pronounce. It's called Jiwa, which is the Indonesian word for soul. Partner Indonesian, still questionable. Added an I to it, added an I. No one could pronounce it. Dumbest fucking idea. But another fuck up was that even though I knew it was failing, COVID hit, shit was bad. We had to close shop. But before that, I knew it was failing, and out of desperation, I went to my parents, complete privilege in saying this, but I was like, take out a line of credit, I need to pay my developers. So my parents took out a line of credit. And for months, I paid my developers $10,000 a month to continue to build a product that was already failing. Awful idea. I would not suggest it to anyone. So COVID hits, sales cycle goes away. I don't know if you've ever sold to nonprofits in general. It's the worst. They're not really into innovation. What was worse was that I know, you're laughing at me because I have a kid and a puppy. What the fuck was I thinking? So my daughter's 6 months old. I'm $100K in debt. Shit's really bad, like really bad. It's COVID. I'm looking at my wife like, babe, they think we're gonna be here in 3 weeks from now. Like we're gonna be in the house in 3 weeks. 3 years later, we're like washing groceries and shit. Like it was bad. But when you're down, you look for things to bring you up. And this was my magic. And I found Web3 and NFTs in 2021. Things were going pretty well. TLDR of it all, I jumped into the space. The entire community was on Twitter or X. And I'm like, this is cool. I started talking about things. I'm into technology. I'm into artists. I'm hanging out with like the world's greatest artists. This is amazing. I started talking about the things that I had seen in the space, and people started responding. So I'm building a bit of a brand. 16,000 followers. Things are great. I make this guy $300,000 by selling this fucking thing. I'm like walking down red carpet. This was like a family portrait from Jeremy Cowart, who's a celebrity photographer. He shot Obama and the Pope and the Kardashians, all very similar people. I started a digital marketing agency. I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. I'm interviewing Wyclef. You can't make this shit up. I'm making a lot of money, and I'm spending a lot of money. And then the unthinkable happens. And Daddy Elon buys Twitter. He turns it into X. The algorithm changed entirely. Everything went away. Everything went away. The bull market that I was experiencing for like 2.5 years went bare really, really quickly. 16,000 followers. I never collected email addresses on them. They all went away. Nope, need it again. Excellent. So when I reflected on this, it's like, what did I really do here? There's so many things that I did. But what was my one critical mistake? My critical mistake was that I had built a brand. Everything that I had built was built on a platform, a market, an industry that I did not control. I had no control over it. It had nothing to do with me. It had nothing to do with what made me unique, what I had to offer, nothing about my story. And so when things changed for the worse, I was just a thing, and nobody paid any attention. And the worst part, I lost tens of thousands of dollars. And it's one thing, you know this if you have kids or family, it's one thing to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, you really fucked up, like you did this. It's another thing to look at your family and be like, we have no money. And we're in debt. And I haven't taken a salary for 2 years. So my daughter, my son, my wife, very different environment. There's so many things. But really, this was me in Web3. This was sort of like the brand that I built and that I developed. It's kind of lifeless. It's colorless. No picture of me, no nothing. You don't know who this person is. You don't know what they're about. You don't know why they're actually here doing all this. There's no reason here for you to connect with me, and there's no reason here for you to trust me. There's nothing here that says I'm unique or that I'm different than anybody else. If I had built that brand around my personal story, around who I am, what I do, why you should care about me, what makes me unique, then everything I built in that moment, I could have pivoted. I could have shifted, I could have changed, I could have started talking about something different. But I didn't. And so when that person that I had built, that brand that I had built, went away, nobody listened. And certainly nobody came with me. And so I had to start again. And so my lesson to all of you is, I built a brand, building a business online. You don't have to be doing that to take this lesson with you. If you're building anything where you are having to sell yourself as an individual, start with you. What makes you authentic? What makes you different than anybody else talking the same shit? Because there's a lot. Why should people care about you? Why should people trust you? Why should people connect with you? Because I do not want you to experience the same fuck up that I did. Sure. Any questions?